Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. It is a Friday. I know most people are off work today, so hopefully you're enjoying your long extended weekend, and I trust that you've had a good week so far. Just doing some quick math in my head. Since today is July 5th, and there's 31 days in the month of July, we have 26 more days this month, and then 24 days next month until college football starts. So 50 days away. It'll be 7 weeks from tomorrow. So today, here on the channel, I want to discuss an article from Sports Illustrated that came out June the 7th. So it's not quite a month old, but it's all 9 conferences. So of course, that's the 4 power conferences and then the group of 5 conferences, and it gives Sports Illustrated's prediction of each and every conference, which team has the best chance to win that conference, and it goes by percentage points. Now I'm sure you could probably, if you feel so inclined, find pretty much the same article from every major sports site, because every major sports site is going to give their predictions on who's going to win each and every conference. But I chose Sports Illustrated because honestly it's probably the one that I would agree with the most. Just looking over it, there's only a couple of conferences that I might go a different direction, but for the most part, I agree with them. So I thought that since I pretty much agreed with them, I would just choose Sports Illustrated. But it goes in order 1 through 9, starting with the team that has the highest percentage chance to win their conference to the team that has the lowest percentage chance to win their conference, which is the order I wrote them down in. As always, any thoughts on this, please feel free to let me know. The team that has the highest percentage chance to win their conference is Conference USA's Liberty Flames, and the Liberty Flames have a 41.5% chance to win Conference USA. In the Big Ten, they have Oregon, who has a 37.5% chance. Mountain West, Boise State, a 36.2% chance. In the SEC, it's Georgia with a 32.8% chance. In the American Conference, it's UTSA, which of course is University of Texas, San Antonio. They have a 31.3% chance. The ACC is Florida State, 26.2%. The Sun Belt, Appalachian State, 22%. The MAC is Miami of Ohio, who is at 20.2%. And the Big 12 is Kansas at 17.4%. And I think the reason why Kansas is such a low percentage is because it's hard to believe that you pick Kansas to win the conference, because Kansas for the longest time was a laughing stock in college football. So even if you believe Kansas is going to win the Big 12, when you go to write it down, it doesn't feel right. But somebody has to win the Big 12, and since the two most likely teams that would be picked to win the Big 12 are no longer there, you have to pick somebody, and nobody has any confidence in Mike Gundy, so you can count out Oklahoma State. He seems like he's going to consistently win about 8 or 9 games every year, which is good, but it's not going to win you a conference. But somebody has to win it, and ever since Kansas hired the coach they have now, they have consistently gotten a little better each and every year. But honestly, when I look at this, I agree with Kansas. I agree with Miami of Ohio. I agree with Appalachian State. I agree with UTSA. I agree with Georgia. I agree with Boise State. And I agree with Liberty. So I agree with 7 of the 9, maybe 8 of the 9. The only one that I 100% don't agree with is Oregon. And I know the reason why they have the best chance to win the conference is because they have the best schedule out of all the big-time teams in the Big Ten. But I still just think Ohio State is better. So I'll pick Ohio State. And the other one that I might disagree with maybe is Florida State. But then if I was to disagree with it, I don't know who I would pick. Maybe Clemson, but I'm not convinced that Clemson's offense is good enough to say definitively that, hey, they're going to win the conference. They could, but their offense is going to have to be leaps and bounds better than what it was last year for me to feel that confident. Maybe Miami, because Miami, I think, top to bottom, has the best talent in the conference, but I just don't trust their head coach. Maybe Virginia Tech, because they have the easiest schedule out of anybody in the ACC, so maybe Virginia Tech. I'm just not sure, but it's hard for me to look at Florida State, even though if you watch this channel, you know that I'm big on Mike Norvell. I've said ever since Mike Norvell got hired at Florida State that Florida State would be back if they give Mike Norvell time, and they are back. Last year was not a fluke. They are going to consistently be a top 5, top 10 team every year. I'm just not so sure this year they're going to be as good as they were last year, because Mike Norvell likes to run a no-huddle offense, which most teams nowadays run that. But if you've seen DJU play, you know that DJU is just slow. He does not run a fast-paced offense. It's just not going to happen. So if Florida State tries that, it's going to make them worse. But I think they're going to be worse at running back. They're going to be worse at tight end. They're going to be worse on defense. And they're going to be worse at wide receiver. So if you're worse at running back, worse at wide receiver, worse at tight end, and worse on defense, I don't know how you're going to be as good as you were last year. But if you don't pick Florida State, I just don't know who else you would pick. I guess it would be one of the teams I mentioned a while ago, but I'm just not convinced Clemson can win the conference. I'm not convinced Virginia Tech can win the conference. And somebody has to. I would easily say Miami if they didn't have the coach they have, but I just don't trust that coach. So maybe I would go with Florida State, but that would be the one conference of the 9 that I would look at and say, I'm not so sure. The Big Ten, I think they're wrong on. I think Ohio State wins it. The other 7 conferences, I agree. The ACC, I'm not so sure. Maybe it's NC State. NC State has probably the best 2 wide receivers in America that nobody talks about. So maybe it's NC State. Somebody has to win the conference. I'm just not 100% positive it's Florida State, but if it's not, I don't know who it is. Again, any thoughts on this, please feel free to let me know. That is Sports Illustrated's prediction of who wins every conference. All 9, the 4 power conferences and the group of 5 conferences. Liberty wins Conference USA. Oregon wins the Big Ten. Boise State wins the Mountain West. Georgia wins the SEC. UTSA wins the American. Florida State wins the ACC. Appalachian State wins the Sun Belt. Miami of Ohio wins the MAC. And Kansas wins the Big 12, according to Sports Illustrated. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What happens when you cross a stegosaurus with a firework? Dynamite. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.